Emu's deep resonant calls or low frequency booms and hisses by ostrich and cassowary are closer to reality than the classic Hollywood thumping roar in terms of how dinosaurs sounded. The iconic T.Rex roar from Jurassic Park was a manufactured sound effect made by blending a baby elephant's scream, an alligator's gargle, and the tiger's snarl. So the high frequency part of the roar is actually a baby elephant trumpeting. The low frequency vibrating bass of the roar came from an alligator. For the more aggressive biting kind of sounds, the Academy Award winning sound designer Gary Redstorm layered in tiger snarls. The T-Rex's breath was created from a whale's blowhole sound, while its dog-like breathing snarls came from his own pet, Jack Russell Terrier. Great to experience the sonic boom for big screen experience, but totally baseless, and it contributed to many wrong impressions about dinosaurs. There's no fossil evidence that T-Rex had larynx like roaring mammals. That's Hollywood for you. Many dinosaur eggs, especially from theropods, look very similar to bird eggs in structure. This is a quail egg, and something like this existed over 100 million years ago, laid by dinosaurs. Inside this tiny egg, the cheek grows almost exactly the way our baby dinosaurs did. Quail eggs have hard calcium shells. This is a trait shared with reptiles, including dinosaurs, meaning birds inherited this from their reptilian ancestors, not mammals. Watch this hawk strike. Now imagine the same behavior but 75 million years ago. That's basically what Velociraptor was doing. With similar grasping claws, especially the sickle claw, binocular vision, and possibly even ambush hunting strategies. A sparrow is a dinosaur, an eagle is a dinosaur, even an ostrich. The rufous-backed kingfisher is an avian dinosaur. So is the eastern sarus crane. And you get the drift. Birds are not just descended from dinosaurs. Birds are dinosaurs. And I don't just mean chickens. One of the most fundamental ideas in evolution that many of us struggle to reconcile with is this: all birds belong to the dinosaur lineage. Chickens are not uniquely closest to dinosaurs, just easiest candidates for lab study. Because birds with throat pouch retained some of these ancestral traits, but still these are retained traits, scientifically superficial, not proof of closer to dinosaur in evolutionary terms. All modern birds are living dinosaurs and equally related. So a sparrow is not a distant cousin of dinosaur. It's more like a modern, highly modified version of the same lineage that once included creatures like T.Rex. So for anyone interested in the proof, in this video I will give you at least dozens of proof, if not more, that birds are living dinosaurs. And some of them are concrete fossil-based evidence, but some are referential, inferential or experiential. But many of those examples that I'm going to give you are irrefutable similarities you can easily relate to. The shoebill's booming calls are structurally similar to what we expect from giant theropods' vocal apparatus. Shoebills produce a deep, bill-clattering boom or croak kind of sound rather than melodic calls. Paleontologists think large theropods and some semi-aquatic dinosaurs may have had resonating air sacs like birds. So reconstructions suggest Brachylophosaurus or Spinosaurus-like dinosaurs also exhibited low boom calls, not melodic, more like deep bellows for territory or communication. Birds evolved from small feathered theropod dinosaurs within a group called Maniraptora around 150 to 165 million years ago during the Jurassic period. Over millions of years, they gradually adapted towards flight through a mix of running, climbing, and possibly even gliding, eventually becoming the winged flyers we know today. Then came the asteroid impact 66 million years ago, the Cretaceous-Paleogene extinction event. Now, contrary to popular belief, all dinosaurs didn't die. It was catastrophic, but it didn't wipe out all life. About 70% of the species went extinct, including all non-avian dinosaurs, but some groups survived. What did the asteroid actually do? It triggered massive fires, shock waves, earthquakes, and even tsunamis. It also blasted dust and sulfur into the air. So the atmosphere blocked sunlight for months, or even some say possibly years. This caused an impact winter where photosynthesis collapsed and food chains completely broke down. Now, large dinosaurs needed huge amount of food. So when plants died, they couldn't survive. It's not just because of the asteroid impact. Smaller animals had advantages. Early mammals could burrow undergrounds and had flexible diets. Some amphibians and reptiles also survived in water or mud. Food sources after the impact likely included seeds, fungi, which thrive after mass die-offs, then insects and carrion. So animals that could eat almost anything had a better survival chance. The same applied to birds. Many early birds that depended on trees for food and sustenance, like for nesting, lost their habitats and went extinct. But some bird lineages, especially ground-dwelling, seed-eating birds, could survive on seeds. And insects, those survivors eventually gave rise to the modern birds. So if someone tells you that the asteroid wiped out all dinosaurs, you remind them one lineage of small, adaptable avian dinosaurs survived. And today, we call them birds. I think the confusion stems from the fact that we mostly imagine dinosaurs as this. But this also was one. Non-avian dinosaurs dominated in size and visibility in the past. But avian dinosaurs, that is birds, massively outnumbered them in species diversity, especially today. Also, plants didn't all instantly disappear either after that particular extinction event. What collapsed quickly was photosynthesis at a global scale. Not every plant organism overnight disappeared. So here's how seeds still existed. One, seeds were already on the ground. So before the impact, ecosystems were full of plants producing seeds. Many of those seeds were already lying in soil, leaf litter, or even buried. Seeds are naturally designed to survive tough conditions, cold, drought, even fire in some cases. So they could persist through this impact winter. Number two, seeds can stay dormant for long periods. They don't need immediate sunlight. Many can remain dormant for months or even years, waiting for the perfect condition. So even when sunlight was blocked, they didn't all die. They just paused. Look how intelligent nature is. Number three, not all plants died at once. The impact caused massive die-offs, especially of forest. But some plants survived in protected environments, like near water bodies or underground root systems. Ferns, for example, are known to have rebounded quickly. There's even a fern spike in the fossil record right after the extinction event. Number four, date plants still provided materials. Even if plants died, their remains and the seeds they had already produced remained available as food sources. So it wasn't a completely lifeless world after the impact. It was a dark, devastated ecosystem with stored resources, and seeds were one of the most important of those resources. That's why animals that could eat seeds, like some early birds, had a major survival advantage. Birds may have survived also because their brains could rebuild themselves faster. Recent research suggests that the bird ancestor who survived the asteroid impact had unusually flexible brain development compared to other dinosaur species. So here's the striking part. Early birds and their closest relatives had highly adaptable nervous systems. They could rewire behavior quickly in response to extreme environmental collapse. This flexibility may have helped them switch diets, habitats, and survival strategies within generations. Meanwhile, many larger dinosaurs, like say Triceratops, were more biologically locked in to specific ecosystems. Even more exceptional fact is that they may have survived a global nuclear winter by going semi-dormant. After the impact, Earth likely experienced months to years of darkness. Some scientists think bird ancestors survived by entering a torpor-like state, a primitive form of hibernation, essentially. So this drastically lowers metabolism when food vanished, living off stored energy longer than other dinosaurs could possibly exercise. So this is similar to how some modern birds also survive extreme conditions today. The rarest survival trait is tooth loss before the extinction. So one subtle but crucial advantage this bird has is that the lineage leading to modern birds had already evolved beaks instead of teeth. This wasn't just cosmetic phenomenon. Beaks are lighter, more versatile, and better for eating hard seeds and debris. Seeds became one of the only reliable food resources at that point of time, as I mentioned many times, after the global plant die-offs. So ironically, a trait that evolved millions of years earlier became the key to surviving the apocalypse. The truly exceptional takeaway from all of this is that birds didn't just get lucky. They survived because they were already biologically pre-adapted for collapse. Flexible brains, flexible diets, and flexible metabolism. Most dinosaurs were optimized for a stable world. Bird ancestors were accidentally optimized for a broken one. How we can then see big birds like ostrich today, if only small birds survived that extinction event? After the extinction, many ecological niches were empty, no big dinosaurs anymore. So surviving birds diversified rapidly. This is called adaptive radiation. Some lineages gradually evolved larger body sizes, again because they got the space. Over millions of years, this led to flightless giant birds like ostriches. Other large birds like you see emus, cassowary, and extinct tiered birds. Now, if you ask why shall I believe all birds are living dinosaurs, where are any commonalities? Number one, hollow bones. Theropod dinosaurs like Velociraptor had hollow air-filled bones, and so do birds. Makes the skeleton lightweight for flight. Also, it helps with the breathing efficiency. This isn't a bird invention. It came directly from dinosaurs. Number two, feathers. Feathers didn't start with birds. Dinosaurs like Microdaptor had full feathers. Early feathers were likely for insulation or display, not flight. Birds just refined them for flying. Feathered dinosaurs like Microdaptors or Embryonics had complex feather structure, color patterns. We even know some colors from the fossils. It is likely used, the feather is likely used for display, not just flight. Now, when you see a peacock train rattling and showing off their resplendent feather, it should remind you that a certain section of dinosaurs did something very similar. Many theropods engaged in some kind of courtship display like this. Not a full choreography like modern birds, usually some form of tail raising or feather display, strutting and head bobbing like you see in pigeons. Number three, nests. Bird nesting behavior is straight out of dinosaur life. Fossils show dinosaurs brooding eggs just like hens. Oviraptor fossils were found sitting on nests. Circular nest arrangements also seen in dinosaurs. Eggs are a direct evolutionary link. Birds didn't invent eggs. Dinosaurs already laid them. Microscopic structure of fossilized eggs from dinosaurs are almost identical to bird eggs. So we know birds didn't inherit them from early egg-laying mammals. Not all reptiles have the same eggs. Many turtles and snakes have soft or leathery shells. Crocodilians have hard shells, and they are close relatives of dinosaurs. Eggs of monotremes, early egg-laying mammals, were soft and leathery. Their shell structure is totally different. They evolved egg-laying behavior independently. This kind of hard calcified eggshell in birds is inherited from their dinosaur ancestors. Quail eggs have these, if you can see, these dark spots. Okay? It is for a reason. They help camouflage eggs in open nests. These behavior likely existed in some dinosaurs too. Fossil evidence suggests some theropods laid colored eggs, and as I have shown you before, fossils of Oviraptor with brooding posture They didn't just lay eggs, they sat on it to keep it warm and cared for them just like birds. So this brooding posture a behavior frozen in time. Other than anatomy, it's direct fossil evidence of behavior. So even egg color is a dinosaur inheritance.
Okay, any guesses on
I
what this
believe
is?
this is an emu egg.
Yes, you're right. This is an emu's egg. They are one of the third largest species of bird in the world.
For a long time, people thought dinosaur eggs were plain white. But discovery showed pigments like blue-green, like you can see in robin eggs, or brown speckles. This links directly to modern bird. Also, eggshells have tiny pores. These let oxygen in and carbon dioxide out. Same system found in dinosaur. Now look at the slightly pointed, not perfectly round quail eggs. Pointed eggs roll in circles. So basically they don't fall out of the nest. This is seen in cliff nesting birds today. Some dinosaur eggs also were elongated like this, very similar, and arranged carefully in nests. In other words, if this egg hatched 70 million years ago, it wouldn't be called a bird, it would be called a dinosaur. So yes, every omelette you have ever eaten, that's a connection to the age of dinosaurs. Megapods, natural incubator builders, birds like the malleofowl do something specially dinosaur-like. They build large soil mounds mixed with decaying vegetation, let heat from decomposition incubate the eggs, and they carefully regulate temperature by adding or removing soil. This is strikingly similar to hypothesis about how some dinosaurs, including oviraptor relatives, may have used environmental heat for incubation. So organized nest and egg arrangement, if you look at it, so there are fossil evidence that nest of Trudon show that eggs placed upright, arranged in neat circular patterns, slightly partially buried. This suggests deliberate nest construction and incubation strategy, modern equivalents we can find in birds. They carefully arrange eggs in nest. They turn eggs regularly, maintain spacing for heat distribution. So the precision we see today started in dinosaurs and it eventually evolved and got improved. Some dinosaur nesting sites, if you look at Hadrosaurus, many nests clustered together, a repeated use of nesting grounds and materials. These suggest colony nesting, like seabirds today. If you remember the lesser adjutant stork in Kaziranga, I have shown that they are actually sharing colony with other storks and egrets in the first Kaziranga Chronicle video where I first mentioned that birds are dinosaurs. Number 4, two-legged walking, which is known as bipedal posture. Birds walk on two legs exactly like their theropod ancestors. Compare a chicken to Tyrannosaurus rex, same basic leg structure. The balance, stride, and posture are surprisingly similar. Number 5, scaly feet is equal to dinosaur skin. Look at a bird's legs. Those scales are basically unchanged reptilian or dinosaur skin. Feathers on top, scales below is direct evolutionary mix. Number 6, super efficient lungs or air sacs. Birds have one of the most advanced breathing systems on Earth. Air flows in one direction, unlike mammals. This system likely existed in many dinosaurs. It helped power active predators like Allosaurus. Number 7, surprisingly smart brains. Some dinosaurs had relatively large complex brains. Modern birds, especially crows, parrots, show high intelligence, problem-solving skills, tool use, memory. These likely evolved from dinosaur ancestors. Number 8, wishbone or furcula. That wishbone in a chicken, it existed in theropod dinosaurs. It helped strengthen the chest for movement. Later it got adapted for flight. Number 9, clawed wings. Baby birds reveal it. Some baby birds still show dinosaur traits. Young Hoatzin chicks have claws on their wings. They use them to climb, just like small theropod dinosaurs. Number 10, fast growth rates. Birds grow incredibly fast, and so did many dinosaurs. Some dinosaurs reached massive sizes in surprisingly short times. This rapid growth is a shared biological trait. The coolest way to think about it is if you saw a small feathered dinosaur like Archaeopteryx today, you have probably just call it a weird bird because that's basically what it was. Number 11, dinosaurs probably slept like birds. Fossils show that some dinosaurs slept with their heads tucked under their arms, exactly like modern birds. A beautifully preserved fossil of Meilong was found in a sleeping posture, head tucked under forelimb, body curled up, a tail wrapped around. Compare that to modern bird sleeping position. A pigeon or a chicken, any bird, tucks its head under its wing. This helps to conserve the energy and the heat. So they sleep in the same compact posture. So why this is crazy? Because this isn't just bones or feathers. It's a preserved behavior from 120 million years ago. So you are literally seeing a dinosaur sleeping, the same way birds still do today. A 120 million year old dinosaur curled up to sleep in exactly the same way a bird on your windowsill does even today. And here comes the final proof, number 12. Squint at a bird embryo and you may catch a glimpse of a dinosaur. By leveraging new technologies and synthesizing anatomical observations from embryos, adults and fossils, a new study caught bird embryos in the act of briefly assembling a miniature dinosaur-like pelvis. These are comparative images of the pelvis in early and late stage of American alligator and Japanese quail. Their embryos. The alligator pelvis undergone little changes in shape during pre-hatching development, as you can see. The images revealed that the alligator pelvis changes very little during embryonic development. 2 weeks into the development, the characteristically blocky shape of the pelvis is evident and only modest changes occur by hatching time. In contrast, the embryonic bird pelvis changes dramatically. Thanks to contact incubation, bird embryos mature much more rapidly than crocodilian embryos. The researchers observed as if the quail embryo were hurtling through the anatomy of its Triassic Archosaurus ancestors on Friday, its Cretaceous theropod ancestors on Saturday, and approaching towards a more recognizably bird-like morphology by Sunday. Such a drastic change actually. So this is a direct visible proof to know that birds are theropods. Now theropods are part of a larger group called Archosaurus. So all birds are Archosaurus, but not all Archosaurus are dinosaurs. Archosaurus include dinosaur, including birds, crocodilians, and some extinct relatives. Think of it as a big family tree. So yes, birds are basically flying dinosaurs and crocodiles are their closest living cousins. Recently, scientists were able to extract and sequence proteins out of a well-preserved T.Rex bone. They compared it to many other animals, and to no surprise, they closely matched with birds. Scientists now know that dinosaurs are more closely related to birds than to reptiles. But early scientists who began seriously studying paleontology thought they were close to reptiles. They also thought crocodiles were reptiles because they look like reptiles, but they are actually much more closely related to birds. This might sound even more shocking, but it is true. Crocodiles are part of a group called archosaurus, which also includes birds and extinct dinosaurs. This means crocodiles and birds share a more recent common ancestor with each other than crocodiles do with other living reptiles, like, say, suppose lizards or snakes. While most large dinosaurs didn't burrow, smaller ones probably did, and there's direct fossil evidence for that. Oryctrodromus was found preserved inside a burrow with its young. This shows digging behavior, use of underground shelters, parental care in protected environments. Why burrowing evolved? Because it's protection from predators, temperature regulations, safe egg incubation mechanisms. Modern birds that nest in burrows like puffins or some parrots are likely continuing this exact same ancient strategy. One more interesting cues: dust covering and substrate use. Dust budding or covering behavior in birds, seen in chickens, sparrows, many other, has deep evolutionary roots, possible dinosaur origins, because small theropods probably use the same dust or sand technique to clean feathers for parasite control. They covered eggs with sediments or vegetation for insulation, scratched at the ground substrates while foraging, and these behaviors connect to a broader instinct, that is manipulating the environment using the body, feet, beak or limbs. Even today, ground birds scratch and toss dirt. Some species partially bury eggs or nesting material. So natural selection favored them because they increased offspring survival possibility, reduced predation, improved hygiene, and helped regulate temperature. While Indian dinosaurs like Rajasaurus narmadensis died out, the avian lineage in India has a unique history, particularly due to India's time as an isolated island continent during the Cretaceous and Paleogene periods. Evidence of the transition from dinosaur to birds in India is found primarily in fossil sites across Gujarat, Madhya Pradesh, and Telangana. For example, Vastanavis, discovered in the Vastan lignite mine in Gujarat. This is one of the oldest bird fossils from the Indian plate, dating back to the early Eocene, that is about 50 to 53 million years ago. It belongs to a family called Vastanavidae, which are stem group relatives of modern day parrots. While not birds themselves, Indian Tyrannosaurus from the Lamenta Formation, which is a significant sedimentary geological formation in India, primarily located in Madhya Pradesh, Gujarat, and Maharashtra, laid eggs with a physiologically very similar to modern birds, suggesting that many bird traits were already developing in diverse dinosaur groups in India. The Lamenta Formation is most notable for its contribution to our understanding of dinosaur life just before their extinction. Dinosaur nesting sites, for example, it contains one of the world's largest dinosaur hatcheries, stretching over 1,000 kilometers. Recently, 256 Tyrannosaurus eggs were discovered in the Dhar district. Molecular evidence from fossilized eggshells confirms that ostriches lived in India as recently as 25,000 years ago, with some theories suggesting their ancestors may have been on the Indian plate since it broke away from Gondwana. When India was an island drifting towards Asia, it acted as a biotic ferry. This isolation allowed for the evolution of distinct avian groups that are not found in the well-studied fossil records of Europe or North America from that same era. Many of these early Indian birds likely migrated into Europe and Asia after the Indian plate collided with the rest of the continent. There's this persistent myth that chickens are 99% genetic match with dinosaurs. You will see hundreds of such misleading videos in social platform. In reality, it is impossible to calculate a precise DNA percentage match for non-avian dinosaurs because no usable dinosaur DNA has survived the 66 million years since their extinction. DNA generally degrades beyond recognition after about 1 to 6 million years, even in the best possible conditions, as I already explained in the Elon Musk's de-extinction proposal video. There is a famous urban legend in paleontology where an early attempt to sequence dinosaur DNA resulted in a near perfect match to a chicken. It was later discovered that the lab samples had been contaminated because the team excavating the bones had been eating fried chicken near the site. Of course, this is a humorous, exaggerated anecdotes among scientists to emphasize that how easy it is to contaminate a sample. In 1994, researchers found 100% DNA match between humans and 80 million-year-old dinosaur DNA in Utah coal mine, just because of lab contamination from those who were handling the fossils. The 99% match is also often confused with 98.8% DNA match between humans and chimpanzees. For a chicken and a T-Rex, the gap of 66 million years of evolution makes a 99% match biologically impossible. In 2007, scientists extracted collagen proteins from a T-Rex fossil. When they compared the amino acid sequence to modern animals, chickens and ostriches were the closest match. This was molecular proof that birds are the living descendants of theropod dinosaurs. And a 2014 study found that chickens and turkeys have undergone the fewest chromosomal level changes since the age of dinosaurs. This makes their genome a purer map of the ancient avian ancestor than that of more evolved birds like, say, songbirds or parrots. So to be very precise, all birds are equally related to the common ancestor of all dinosaurs. While they are all equally related, all birds haven't changed at the same speed. So you can say chickens have the most unedited genetic instructions from the Cretaceous period. But a tiny sunbird is an avian dinosaur too, and no less than anyone else. I made a prehistoric documentary on how ancient marine creatures evolved to eventually pave the way for early reptiles and mammals to the end of dinosaur era, and compared T-Rex skull with rhino skull to explore their ancestral lineage. Those who haven't watched it, I hope you will like it. And I didn't make this video in response to such trolls though. I made it because a friend wanted to understand this particular subject. I don't know where in the previous video I said that T-Rex devolved and became chicken. Evolution is not a downgrade patch update. Also, devolution isn't a scientifically valid term or concept. I clearly said amniotes are animals that evolved an amniotic egg, an egg that can survive on land. This group later split into two major branches. Okay, one is called synapsids, which eventually resulted in mammals, including rhinos and humans. Another is sauropsids, which eventually led to reptiles, including dinosaur, birds, lizards, and crocodile. And all non-avian dinosaurs went extinct, as you just saw, while birds are their only living descendants. That means birds don't just share a distant ancestor with dinosaurs. They are part of the same group. For example, animals like Velociraptor and Tyrannosaurus rex are part of the same larger dinosaur family tree as modern birds. The key idea is non-avian dinosaurs like T-Rex went extinct, avian dinosaurs like birds survived and continued evolving. So no, I never said T-Rex turned into chicken. Evolution cannot work in straight line. with one species evolving overnight to another or devolving, just like geography cannot decide class or intelligence. Because as someone said, that to be worthy of this astonishing world, a sense of wonder will be a way of life in every place and time, no matter how familiar, to listen in the dark of every night, to praise the mystery of every returning day, to be astonished again and again, to be grateful with an intensity that cannot be distinguished from joy. Probably that is how we are supposed to live. So don't want to romanticize struggle and hardship, but if you ever feel broken in life, as if darkness descended on your world, it's probably a better idea to remain flexible and remain dormant for some time, because we always try to quickly bounce back from the setback and we want immediately to regain our lost ground. But if we look at nature, it's probably a better idea sometimes to give your system a rest and remain as much open and flexible as possible in order to better recover from that situation. Life and whatever happened in this planet, because our planet has been an extremely violent one and it continues to be so, but in a different way now more. But it was never a very peaceful place like we would like to imagine. And we are constantly in a state of flux.